Hey, hey. Hi, guys. All right. So I think that worked. So I tried starting this video a moment ago and the chat wasn't working. And then I noticed that everything seemed to be frozen. So I had to kind of close everything and come back in. Nice to see you guys. Fallen Raven, RS, thanks for being here. Yeah, I can see you guys now and it looks like things are smooth. So there's still some problems because it doesn't say anybody's in the room, but I can at least see you guys in the chat, even though it's not keeping track of anybody who's in the room. So YouTube is going through an update or something right now, or it's having a glitch. But here we go. Let's hope this all works. All right. So because I had started the video and nothing was working right, I had just shuffled one card, and this is a specific message. And so I started out by saying what was in my mind before I began this was I pictured somebody who was pulling on what I thought first was like black tights, and then I was like, or is it leggings or is it socks? And it was really between like socks or tights, because I could see the outline of a foot. But and I could see like hands pulling on the socks. I just don't know if they were going all the way up, like pantyhose or tights or something, or if they were just men's socks, women's socks. But my impression was they were like at least mid calf. And then next I saw somebody putting on like big, heavy, like boots, kind of like Doc Martens, kind of like punk style boots. Don't know if they were for masculine or feminine, but then we did shuffle and we got an Empress. Libra, Taurus energy. So maybe we got an Empress who's got a real love of like super feminine on the top and then like some serious boots down at the bottom. Or maybe this is going to be somebody else who's putting on their boots to, I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more just to be the man who walks 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. That could be. We have the Hermit and we have the Page of Wands. This is adventure here. The Hermit is somebody who, typically a Virgo, who would be very quiet and who kind of looks, and this card always to me looks like he's already been, like pacing these city streets, on his journey. Like sometimes the Hermit's journey is this quiet solo journey where, it's like I'm on an inner quest, but my inner quest takes me like kind of Forrest Gump style, where I'm just, running until I decide I'll stop, walking until I find the answer that I'm needing to find, doing something that is just right for me until I find where I'm supposed to be, till I find the answer I'm seeking. Now, this literally could be somebody who is not sure of where they're going, but their feet may take them on this adventure to an Empress's door. Or this is all about the Empress. The Empress herself may be somebody who's like, you know what? I really need to rejuvenate my energy. Because when we switch over to this adventurer's Page of Wands and we see our feminine showing back up here, I'm inclined to say, and we have like these little like there's like the bear of California. There's these patches, things that you would pick up if you, were visiting different states or provinces or traveling, or getting stamps or, in your passport. She could definitely be saying, you know what, I personally am ready for a new journey. I need to put on my boots and I need to take myself on a new adventure. It's been a long time since I did something to like reclaim my more like enjoyable, youthful, exploration. Sometimes it gets heavy to run an empire. Sometimes a character wants to not just have to run a huge empire, but to go out and be like a little bit less the person that everybody calls on and the person that has to be the glue that holds everything together. Okay, if she's going on a vacation, she's also looking for a little bit of, I'm not going to say trouble, I'm going to say a little bit of lust. we may have somebody who's like, I don't know. There's a lot of films that I can think of that are flashing through my head of, somebody takes that road trip, takes that vacation, and in the back of their mind is like, hey, I need to get away from it all. But it's also like, I do want to indulge in some passion. I want to have an adventure. It feels like we have a feminine who's like, I got to break out of my empire for a little bit and just go. It's weird because it's like, I want to go on this soulful journey, but I also want some passion in my life, even if it's brief or fleeting. I need that adventure. I need a sensual adventure. She has a reason that she's going on this trip. Now let's not forget, this could also still be a masculine mixed in here. We don't know yet if he's a different character. Right now we could have individuals that will be traveling in different areas. Different areas where it's like meeting like a multicultural mix of people. Could be going, we have a couple different city scenes here and here. We can see the cities, kind of like outside of her window, that's like high-rise buildings. She may have a cat, by the way, an orange tabby or calico cat. She may be somebody who does do some photography. She, just because that bear, which is like the California bear, maybe she hails from Cali or something. But this, I guess, could also be like, sometimes I look at the, it says the word wild on the bear, by the way, but we have like a backpack and we have a lantern. So she may be like stepping away from like her finery and such. She may have a very elegant environment. Typically, I'm picturing somebody who like goes to museums, works in a museum, spends time in places. She's wearing pearls, by the way, across the crown of her head. I feel like this is somebody who could be in like academia or, something like a historian type of person. But now she's like, I want to don my adventurer's hat and take off. Something about like, I want to go where I want to go and be a cat. Cats are really independent. They kind of come and go as they choose. And I'm wondering if she's had just a little too much of consistency and rules and things that she must do and things that she must attend to. And she's like, look, I bust free and go have some good loving. She may be going into some, I'm picturing, just because of the neons here, I am picturing her going to like some awesome like blues bar or something, like the really classic. Like one time this is just reminding me of something personal, but I had gone down to San Francisco for a blues festival on the waterfront, and then James Cotton was playing. I love harmonica. James Cotton was playing. This is obviously before he passed on. May he rest in peace. But he was playing in such a classic like blues bar in San Fran, and I like walked a very long distance to get there, and it was amazing. And this just reminds me like some kind of classic, atmospheric. I'm not saying she's going for any kind of music. She's going to find romance, but I just can't help but think she's going to be like seeking passion that is part of this journey. Now, I want to look a little closer at the Hermit, because I have this distinct impression that the Hermit is somebody else, not just her journey. We know she's on a journey, but I'm wondering if she's going to cross paths with somebody who's also like that, or if this is all just her inner, like busting free, doing something for herself for a change. Okay. Okay. So we just got the blank card. Oftentimes I read this like it's two different people. AC, honey, I can see you. I can see you. I don't know why that happens sometimes, you guys. I don't know if you bounce in and out of the chat at all, if that sometimes, because I'll notice sometimes it'll look like somebody wrote me something and then it'll your name will still be there, but your comment goes away and I didn't do anything to it. But I can see you, AC love. Okay, so you know what? I bet you, since I'm having problems with YouTube tonight, I bet you there's an update right now. If now I see that some of you guys are trying restarts and it's working. But this, sorry to bust into the story there, but I'm noticing that I'm not the only one experiencing funkiness on YouTube tonight. So it's probably just an update. Things will be better tomorrow. But this card of, two sides being identical usually makes me think that we have two people that are in identical energies. Doesn't have to be, but the blank card says, I'm looking for something different. I don't want to show up as who I've been. I want a chance to like not be who I've been anymore. Even though an Empress is an amazing person to be. Look, somebody on their Hermit's journey. Again, amazing person. This is somebody listening to their inner North Star or reconnecting with their inner North Star. But they both want to step away from their previous lives to a certain extent. And I'm going to start to read it like that. Now, he could hail from a different culture than she does. We have a 3 of Swords in the reverse. I think in this storyline, it says we have two people leaned on each other. Like maybe they've both known significant heartbreak. And it's like, can I just get a night where I don't think about what my past has been? Can I just, get out of Dodge? Or maybe can I just go down to the local pub and tonight I don't feel like going home by myself. Tonight I feel like, like I say, falling in, if I'm going to stumble, let me fall into somebody else's arms. Like that's what this feels like. Like I Yeah, tonight I don't want to be alone because I'm hearing Willie Nelson, help me make it through the night. I don't care who's right or wrong. Uh, and I won't try to understand. Let the devil take tomorrow because tonight I need a friend. Yesterday is dead and gone, and tomorrow is out of sight. All I'm taking is your time. Help me make it through the night. Four of Pentacles. This is like, I don't know if these two like don't want to talk about their past lives at all. They don't want to talk about where they've been or what they've been through. They just want, like, can I just catch a break for just a minute? I'm kind of, look, he's haggard from, kind of like the winds of life buffering him. Maybe he's kind of tired of being out there on the hermit's journey and feeling alone. She maybe has felt like she's having to run a heck of a busy life from, a pretty significant, like she could be a manager, a business owner. She could be, the head of a household. She's, great mom, great boss, all these things. But to be in that position of authority and to have to always make the right decisions and to, look, you have to have a strong, like inner compass to be able to run your empire. But can I just for a minute, can I just take a break from all of the things I must do? And can I just have like some passion, even if I kind of feel guilty about this because, hey, maybe I'm looking for just one night with somebody to keep me cozy. Can I just do that and not talk about my busy life and not talk about, all the other things? Can I just take a break from responsibility for just a minute and get something for myself? Like, that's how this feels to me. Like, both characters just need that permission to kind of cuddle with somebody. Two of Pentacles, and both of them are in the same exact boat. We don't have them trying to promise forever. Six of Pentacles in the reverse, Queen of Cups in the reverse. In fact, both of them are like, I have no intention of giving my heart to anybody. I'm not trying to get somebody to give me their heart either. I literally just want somebody who feels the same way that I do. Can we have a no strings attached? Or can you not ask me too many personal questions and I won't ask you either? Can we just like be happy? It does feel like, can we indulge in, I mean, look, let's not deny the devil is toxic, right? And the reason it's toxic is because I think these characters are saying it's not right. I shouldn't be doing this. But as like this guilty, I don't think this is the way either one of them typically operates. I think that both of them have such levels of like depth to them and responsibilities that's probably why they feel guilty and are saying, it's not right that this is what I want to do. But on the other hand, if I met somebody who's on the same exact plane that I'm on, maybe we could be like, well, like the song says, just help me make it through the night kind of vibe. I kind of think it's only the devil card because I think that they feel like they're self-scolding themselves for just wanting something like a moment of, letting their hair down, a moment of escape. We have the Strength card and we've got, a real like this vulnerability, but with the strength. But then it's like, could we just keep it between us? Could I meet somebody briefly, maybe somebody from a different town or, something like that, if I'm going to take a little vacation? And could I just meet somebody? You notice that the fence is here. It's like, I wonder if I could meet somebody who has a strong sense of responsibility like I do. But then on the other hand, we could still have, the understanding that it stays between us. I mean, that would be a really nice, strong rapport to have, like another person who understands. We can have vulnerability between the two of us, but it stays between the two of us. Yes, this is starting to feel like, a secret rendezvous. But I don't really know why. I mean, these characters, all my characters are always adults, right? They get to choose for themselves. And I personally don't believe in shaming people for making their own choices. I'm not about that. I think everybody, you do you, boo, without having to feel a ton of guilt. So I'm like, I don't know why these two very responsible characters have to like stress themselves out a little bit and be like, gosh, I would really like to have some kind of arms around me, but oh my God, it's like these are very moral characters. And the fact that there's some element of them where they just want to not escape this is the problem, because they tend to be very deep and they tend to make really long lasting, meaningful things in their life. the fact that they just want some kind of brief reprieve from responsibilities and maybe heartbreak, but not make promises that they're not sure that they can keep. That's what they're kind of struggling with. I don't know how that's going to work. But I kind of think that maybe this would work really well for the two of them, with the Sun card being here and the Strength card previously. We got a double dose of Leo. This could indicate that both of them have a strong like leadership qualities, but also they have like this clarity. Like I kind of think that this would be two people who would actually like understand one another quite well. Now, of course, I always think it's funny because anytime you get characters that actually do understand each other well, that sometimes is when they wind up as a great match, even though they're like, look, I feel guilty about this, but I'm not really looking for a relationship. I don't even think I have time to find one. But God, I'd love to have some arms around me. But God, that's so inappropriate. I mean, unless I met somebody who was like down for that and they were on the same page as me, in which case, no harm, no foul. And maybe we could, like respect each other and have it still be super respectful and stay between us. And then we could have a nice time together for what time we can share in each other's lives. But it's always like sometimes if you have that energy that you're putting out and you meet somebody who's just like that, then sometimes that's where a relationship that you weren't really thinking you could have is possible. And we got this Four of Swords and it's in the reverse. Look, I think that if anything, these two have been very weary in life, weary from their travels, maybe weary from dating. Maybe they don't really think that they're going to find anything long-term. So they've kind of given up hoping for that, but then they just don't want to be, sleeping alone for a few nights or something. Cause this is like, I'm freaking exhausted from, you can try and try and try. And when it's still not working at some point, maybe it's like, hey, maybe I'll just have, lovers here and there when the mood strikes me. And then I don't have to get my heart broken anymore. And then I just barely got my heart healed. I'm not looking for any more heartbreaks. It kind of feels like we have characters that are thinking it would be better to not have to do romance, but still have something like respectful and on equal footing companionship without huge expectations. Like that would be less disappointing than having to get hearts broken and then heal. And then that's a, couple year process. And then you got to try again. And there is an element of like, these are both really great characters, but I see that there's this like underscore of like deep fatigue when it comes to romance, and yet their lives are still amazing. But this is how they're kind of reconciling with the fact that, look, I don't think I'm believing in fantasies or love stories, but lovers, yes. And what's so wrong with that, right? And we have the Three of Cups here, which is like, in fact, maybe I've been dating all in the wrong way. Maybe I should have had more fun and just said, I'm not putting together my list of every quality that I need to have in a lover. I'm not seeking, long term. I'm seeking somebody whose company I can enjoy, somebody I can respect. By the way, I have to cover this card up because there's three people here, but they're naked and they have like this swath of rainbow color, like almost like a rainbow fog machine that is swirling around them. So it's actually a very pretty card, but again, it's YouTube, so I can't show nudity, even though I don't think there's anything wrong with it myself. But and they're very like classical, almost like it's not like vulgar nudity or anything. It's very much like classical statuary, but they are wearing sunglasses. And that to me is very telling. It's like, I'd love to have somebody I can be vulnerable enough to have intimacy with, but let's not pretend we're going to open up our deepest secrets and let each other see like any deeper than, can we just have a really nice time? Can we laugh together? Can we have, I'm ready for lovers instead of love. And maybe that will be much more lighthearted. In fact, that could be a good time. Like that's where our characters are at. Doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just where they're at. They're a little bit soul weary about the whole, seeking long-term relationships. So this Nine of Wands here is he's wounded too. This is very much the same fellow. He likes to wear long coats, right? We see him in like a wonderful robe here and a wonderful long coat here as well. And I'm wondering if that's like he may have a habit of pulling his coat and closing it a little bit. He could definitely be a Virgo, but there's an element where she seems to be pretty um, willing to like open up a little bit more. He seems to be fatigued and has been like clutching things together. Like, I don't know that he wants to open up oh so much either. But you know what happens when we're weary and when we've felt isolated for a long time? It's nice to be in somebody's company that doesn't ask us a ton of questions, maybe, but you know, is there for us and is, you know, warm, you know, something again enjoyable. I just feel like this two people that just want to be in a relaxed and enjoyable moment together instead of, I mean, it's definitely a little bit of escapism, right? We have got the Page of Swords in the reverse. Again, I'm not going to pry into you. You don't pry too much into me. I'm not trying to get you to open up. We have the secret library with this Page of Swords. This is like all of your secrets. I'm going to delve in. I'm going to research you. I'm going to do all this. This says, no, I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to ask you every question. And I'm not going to weigh everything. Are you a liar? Are you truthful? Are you? I'm going to let you just show me the version of you that you want to, because I'm not expecting much from you other than nice company for a brief period of time. Maybe this sounds like, oh, that's sad because they sound, you know, kind of like they don't believe in love anymore. I don't think that that's what it is. We're just describing, you know, a state of mind that characters has gotten to. And I think on one hand, they've gotten to a point where they're not too interested in opening up. Like, I don't see the Empress saying, I want to open up my entire empire to somebody and bring them in and try to build trust and expect them to be an emperor and expect all these things from them. But on the other hand, I'd like to cut loose once in a while. And if I could have somebody that I respect and they respect me, and there's mutual understanding, and I won't go delving into you have to be perfect and I need to find out everything there is to know about you and your past and blah, 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 blah. I don't know, it just feels like both of them are like just easing up with what their expectations are. I don't know that I would say that this is giving vibes of characters who are like, you know, destroyed over love. They have been, though. Three of Swords in the reverse. Here's what I would say. I would say it like this, and forgive me if this sounds, you know, dismal at all, but there are many things in life that, you know, let's just talk about it as love, but there are many times in love where you do everything just right. You get to know somebody, or so you think, and you spend all this time investing, and then somehow they still break your heart. People change. We grow out of relationships. Sometimes we find out they were never truthful at all. Sometimes we find out they had all kinds of their own, you know, shadows that they were dealing with. Sometimes we find out all kinds of shocking double life type stuff, right? I know about that firsthand. And sometimes you do everything just right and it can still be a disappointment. And I think sometimes when you stop saying, well, then, you know, it's not that they're not still doing things right, but let's just say that their expectations have ceased to be movie quality expectations. And let's say they've relaxed a little bit on what the flow of life can be, so that they avoid the devastation that can come with, you know, huge disappointment and huge buildup. This is two characters that know themselves really well, but they don't expect a ton from other people, is what it says. And if anything, I don't think that this is abysmal or these are, you know, sad characters. I mean, an Empress upright, a Hermit upright, these are not sad and sorry characters at all. And they're not characters who've been beaten down and they don't believe in love and they don't believe in anything, but their expectations have become like, look, I'm not trying to go find somebody who will complete me and they have to do all these things. I kind of just want to enjoy having some company. And who knows, maybe it'll go somewhere, but maybe not. But I'm okay with that part too. It just feels, with the Two of Wands, it feels like they're looking at things in their life and saying, in the big scheme of my life, I have a lot of responsibilities. And the whole world, there's a lot of stuff, you know, real life stuff that's really intense and really heavy. And so can I also take some pleasure out of my life, even if it means finding pleasure with somebody that maybe isn't going to stay in my life for forever, but can't I have somebody, you know, to hold on to a little bit, even if it's not going to be much more than for a little bit. And I just kind of think that these are characters saying, you don't really know what tomorrow will bring. So can I not enjoy somebody that, I like, or that I enjoy the company of if I perhaps meet someone? I kind of think that this is going to allow these characters to maybe have an easier time meeting soulmates. Their expectations of other people are much more reasonable, is what I would say, because they're not trying to like pry in and learn every detail, or tell me about every hurt you've ever had. Let me fix you. Oh, are you a 9 of Wands? Are you a little bit wounded? Okay, tell me what's wrong, because I need to believe that we're, going to be together forever, and I have to know everything, and let me help you fix you. Instead, it's more like, I don't expect you to be perfect. I don't expect me to be perfect, but maybe that's where the soulmate energy is. Like, there's a certain mutual understanding and not wanting to put more pressure on either of them, but just enjoying what they can share together. Just like companionship, friendship, if there's romance, great. But all of this just feels really relaxed, is the way I would say it. It's not that there's not maybe a hope or a potential for long-term romance here, but they're not approaching it that way anymore. Justice card. Yeah, it kind of looks like, with that Justice card, I don't know if this is them realizing that the best way to like not set oneself up for disappointment is to, not latch on too tightly to certain things and an expected outcome, but instead just let things unfurl. Almost like maybe both of them learned some of the heartbreaks that they went through had also been because they were expecting a certain outcome and it needed to be a certain way. And, when you build up a lot of hopes for someone to give to you, instead of just meeting right where they are and then seeing what comes of it. If they want to match you, they will. If they want to spend more time with you, they will. It almost feels like these two will have a much more equitable potential for a relationship, because there's less expectation and more just like, if I like you enough to put some time in, I will. If you like me enough to put some time in, you will. But we're not going to worry about we're doing each other wrong or keeping a score, because and saying, but I want you to love me this particular way and this amount. I just think that this is very different for these two. Very different. Maybe we could say that they've matured into like, look, there's bigger stuff in the world going on. I don't know if they both have like career paths or things. He may be quite a traveler, being that he's on the Hermit's journey. She may be, I said it's like she runs an empire. She's got sitting on top of this filing cabinet. She may work as like, I don't know, for all I know, some kind of like, city planner or something where she thinks about like the broader scope. Maybe she doesn't know entirely where her career path is going to go, or just she's learned that in life, you have to remain stable no matter what life brings you. And you have to put your energy into things and be consistent. But at least when it comes to love, you don't have to be lonely if you're feeling like you want companionship, but you don't have to set yourself up for heartbreak either. So all I can say is that these two actually have a heck of a lot in common. Do they know each other? Or is this going to be like friends who wind up, in a lover's connection? We have a 5 of Swords. We have the Hierophant. I said, do these two know each other? The 5 of Swords says there could be great conflict, but this could be the two of them have known great conflict, not together, but at different times, because this can bring in the higher self, or this could be two people that were married once upon a time, had nothing but fights. They may have divorced, and now they could be like, you know what, maybe we sucked being married, but I know you better than I know anybody. And maybe this still works for us to a certain extent. This says that they very well may have known each other in a very significant way once upon a time. But at this point, the expectations for the two of them, whatever water is under that bridge, or they dated and they talked about marriage, but whatever water is under the bridge, it's almost like that shit doesn't matter anymore, because life is way more real than that. And my expectations of you are different. I mean, obviously these two would still think highly of each other to a certain extent, with the moon here, I almost feel like somehow they never really knew everything about each other that they should have. Like, I feel like this is two people that already had a relationship and it was nothing but clashing, clashing, clashing. And yet maybe it's because they're both very, very similar. Maybe they both took life super serious. Maybe they both took too much responsibility on themselves. Maybe there was always a clash because it was like, sometimes we get defensive if we feel like the other person is implying that we're not satisfying them, making them happy, that somehow we aren't doing enough. And then we get defensive and it comes out like we're just fighting. I'm just wondering right now, when I say, did these two know each other? I mean, they could have had a very serious relationship and it could have been like love, but fighting all the time, clashing. And it's maybe that's the thing. Maybe these two, that would explain why we have two people. We already know they're quite a lot alike, right? That blank card that's the same on both sides. That would explain a lot. If these two already had a lover's bond that did not work out well, but right now they're starting to say, out of every person I've known, that's somebody that I actually feel a bond with still. I mean, we have the soulmate card. This could definitely be two people that never quite knew enough about each other. Maybe they're a little older, a little wiser now. Little time has passed. And we have a Hermit and we have the Empress. They're both definitely older and wiser. By the way, we also had Libra. We had Libra Taurus. We have more Taurus coming in here. We have Pisces coming in here. We had Virgo. What else did I miss? I just feel like both of these characters have gone about life in different directions. And they possibly, we also had Leo twice, but both of them have gone in different directions. Oh, and Capricorn, and have, been buffeted by life. But it's like right about now, these two would love to reconnect. Not to say, let's work it out and we'll be good together. It's more just like, out of everybody I've known, you're somebody that I still, if I want somebody to hold on to at night, you would be the one, maybe because there is a lot of history between the two of them. But they're both, I mean, they've been a little weary on one hand, a little fatigued by life, but they're also somehow maybe good together. Or they certainly think that they could give each other companionship. I would say that there's an equal like energy for these two, that they both like a soft place to lay their head, even if there's not going to be any promises that they're getting back together. To have this Four of Cups is, that can be illusions. See, and we have the feminine on this card almost saying, hey, I don't have any illusions that we'd be good together, not in the long term, but to a certain extent, I have a comfort zone with them. This really does start to feel like it's two people who had a relationship once upon a time. Knight of Wands. She says he has big ego. He needs people to look at him. He seeks the stage. He seeks attention. And I know that. So that's why I wouldn't expect him to stay, because he'll always need more attention from other people. I don't know that she knows. You notice he's in a wheelchair. And we saw him out there lonely. She may have even not been sure if he was loyal at one point in time. But she doesn't perhaps know that he's come across as a very weary traveler. There's that Virgo. And again, as like a wounded, he's very different. He's not out here showing off his bod anymore, right? He's all cloaked up. He's not out here. Now I can't find our Knight of Wands. If this was his behavior before, he may have tempered a heck of a lot. He's sitting in a wheelchair, possibly. If he's looking for something much more stable, if he's done some serious soul searching, if he's become that Hermit instead of the Knight of Wands. And she's like, oh, I knew him as a Knight of Wands. But look, sometimes who we were is not who we become. A lot has happened in his life since last they interacted. And I'm guessing a lot has happened in hers as well, because she's an Empress. That's why she's like, look, I don't lie to myself. I don't have any illusions. If if I cuddled with him or something, I don't believe he's somebody who would stay, nor am I asking him to. It's not even the kind of energy I would want long term. But for some reason, if I think about, I mean, maybe he's a great kisser, great lover, she's thinking about him. And she's honest about that too. We have the world. There is this hope for like a combination of like fresh starts in her own life, or maybe she just always hoped the best for him. I don't think she knows that he is. I mean, come on, we've seen him as none of the people that she knew him to be. Like, this is a deep thinking but weary traveler. This is a wounded individual. This is somebody who's quite solid now, but to a certain extent, something has happened. Maybe he's been ill. Maybe he literally has had an injury. Maybe something that made him like grow more as a person. You know, sometimes unpleasant things in our life have a way of like bringing us face to face with like a really serious perspective on life about, you know, what matters. And, you know, it sometimes serves to like, if this is a very immature person, this is a very mature person. But it looks like he may have gone through some very difficult things since last she saw him. But in her mind, she's like, look, I know who they are. That's why I'm not imagining that they're different and that's who my lover's going to be. But better the devil you know. You know, there is this thing where she does think about him. I don't know if she's going back even for a night to him, but it's on her mind. And it may be that, remember, she had the world in her hand, and now we have the world card as well. I kind of think that the Empress, this is whether or not she's going to see him, interact with him, have a roll in the hay with him, seems like it's going to be on her terms, whether or not this happens. And I'm almost wondering now, is this whole storyline about this feminine who's been thinking through this, saying, look, I know this person was a soulmate. I have no illusions, though, that they were somebody that was unreliable. They were a Knight of Wands. But with the Two of Wands, it's like, I'm choosing. And I think her life is very serious. And she wants to have a bit of an adventure. But there's a piece of her that's like, I wish I could have a, you know, some kind of a lover's arms around me. And her mind goes to him, but it's almost like she's wondering in her own mind, would I really even want to have another night with them? Or is that a chapter best left in the past? Because of that world, that's what's making me think she's asking herself, and even like praying over it, like, should my brain even be going back to them? You know, or is that just such a finished thing that even to like whatever, have a night or two with them, would that not be something I should even ever consider? We have the Queen of Wands now sideways, and this is her sitting in front of the gate. She's like, I put that behind me, but did I? Because they come to mind. This is kind of like we're watching somebody, you know, her inner mind working through like, I left that ex, I left that in the past, but much has happened in life. And when I think about the people that have, you know, been exes, you know, there's always one or two maybe that stay more in the forefront of our mind. And then sadly, there's other exes we don't even remember. And, you know, it's like they, you know, you're like, okay, I forgot I dated them. I bumped into them at the grocery store. I haven't thought of them in years. Totally forgot about them, you know, and it's not to be disrespectful. It's just not everybody leaves the same skid mark on our heart, right? This feels like this one, he made a pretty big, you know, well, they're soulmates, right? It's a soulmate relationship. So it's somebody that she's known before. But here she is saying, no, I closed that door and I said never again. Yet here I am kind of waffling. Can I just ask, universe, is there a reason that she's still thinking about them, waffling a little bit? Eight of Pentacles, King of Wands. It is probably because their mind is on her as well. You know, once upon a time, she said they were only a Knight of Wands. At this point, if they've been working on becoming a King of Wands, and keep in mind, at one point in time, she was a Queen of Wands. These two could have been a power couple. But whatever he's been working on, he, at this point, is a King of Wands. So he's probably been thinking a lot about her. It might even be like, you know, if only I had met her as the person that I am today, I wonder if things could have been different because I feel more like a King of Wands. Four of Coins, but I don't see him reaching out to her. I don't see him doing that. I think he's like, oh, this is over. So if anything happens, it will be on her part. If she reaches out to him, it'll be on her part. And because of the Six of Coins, she can feel him thinking about her. That's what this is. She can feel him thinking about her. And he is. This is the second time we've seen that Six of Cups, that soulmate energy. So it boils down to, is this the time to close this chapter and say, hey, if he did change and morph into a King of Wands, great. Happy days for him. In the meantime, I'm ready to meet some other lover. I don't know. It just feels like she's a single Empress whose mind has turned back to him, but it's at the same time that his mind has turned toward her. But he's not going to be reaching out to her. I think probably if she closed that door with him, she closed it very solidly. With the Six of Wands, he still is happy that he feels like he's, transformed into a better version of himself. And maybe that was because he met her. But he's also been like actually doing some kind of work. So, I mean, that's good, at least that he's made some transformations. Is there any reason for these two to interact, universe, at this point? Well, one way or the other. Look, I don't pick the cards, so please bear that in mind. I'm getting a lot of hate lately on all the videos, and I'm just like, they are fictional cards and they are improv. I don't get to pick anything. So whatever comes out is a story I am, doomed to have to tell. But in this, the universe is like, is there any reason for them to interact? It says Two of Cups. These two have always interacted. They influenced each other to possibly level up in a lot of ways. Now with the Fool card here, it says anything that they do from here on out, if this is the point where they leap into new horizons, and it's like, thank you, I'm glad that I met you once upon a time because you helped me to become somebody better. And there is obviously an unconditional love here, or she wouldn't be thinking about them at all, especially when she closed a door and a gate. But then they still cross her mind and she still feels when they think of her. So obviously this is like the universe saying, is there a reason for them to interact? Again, the universe is like, well, they've always interacted in the 5D, in the energetic realm, and they have both benefited, even if they've been pushed and even if they've been, kind of through some of the meat grinder of life, they also benefited from having met each other in this story, right? What they do next, the Fool says there's a chance for a brand new beginning, but maybe that means their journey is now like to remember each other fondly and say, that person helped me more than anybody else I ever knew. I wish them well. I'm on a new journey myself. Or if they have the will, then they can absolutely reach out to each other again. But this is our masculine. And we saw the Four of Pentacles that said he's not reaching out. So this almost looks like, hang on, I don't know. And with the Seven of Cups, she can't decide if she wants to hear from him. She's the one who's indecisive right now. And that in turn is basically telling him, if she doesn't in her own head and heart convey, I want you to reach out to me if you're a different version now. If she's not clear on that, then this is the moment, at least according to the way the universe goes. If she's not sure about what she wants, then he will take a leap in a different direction, and it'll just be that these two can remember each other as an unconditional love. In their lifetime, they won't ever forget each other, but it will be that they won't ever meet again. But that's all, again, based off of her. If she's indecisive about whether or not she wants to hear from them again, then he will wind up going a different direction and just say, I'm grateful that I met her. And she'll probably feel the same about him. It's interesting that this all sits in the hands of the Empress. Is there any advice for the Empress? Three of Wands sideways. Where does she want to go? What does she want her future to look like? She's in a moment where she's not sure. She's in a moment where everything's at her fingertips. She's probably never been more powerful. This says, the thing is, like, she could be squandering an amazing opportunity, set her course. because this is about what we want our future to look like. And we see the compass right there and we see the plans. If this is a great moment for her to like sit down and write down what she really wants, what she really, really, really wants. This is a powerful manifestation time for her for whatever reason. And that doesn't even mean like, what does she want with him? But like, what does she want in her life right now? I remember at the beginning, I was picturing somebody like pulling on their socks and like boots, and they were some pretty serious boots, right? I think it's time to like, put on our walking boots, put on our big boots and say, this is what I am doing. And this says she's got everything at her fingertips, but she does have to make a decision. Okay, so what's going to help her make that decision? I mean, to me, I picture somebody sitting down and writing down exactly what they want. Four of Wands, what's going to help her make her decision? If she envisions what would her most balanced life look like, forget about, the specifics of it. Remember, when we're manifesting the outcome, not necessarily all the steps to get there. You manifest what you, this is just my thought. I'm not saying this is how it works. I don't even know if any of that is how this goes. But I will say in my own life, if there's something that I want, I think about the outcome that I want. Then somehow between me where I am today and the outcome that I want to get to, then I figure out the steps that I need to take. And sometimes that's partially by me, looking, seeking, researching. And other times it's a combo of like, oh my God, this is such good luck. I can't believe I was, in this store, struck up a conversation with somebody, and it turns out they were just the person that I needed to talk to because they had this amazing insight that I needed to hear about that is going to help me get to that end goal. But it's almost like, you find yourself finding the clues that get you from where you are today to that outcome. But the important thing is, what's your outcome? That's how I do it. I'm not saying I manifest. I don't think I manifest at all. I think I just figure out what I'm supposed to do, and then I figure out how to get there. I don't know that I think about manifesting, but for our character, I would definitely refer to it like this, because I think it makes, then I have a title, I have a word to use to describe what she's focusing on. But this says focus on the outcome that she wants, which is a Four of Wands, right? And Empress wants a balanced life. She was fatigued at the beginning of this because it's all just been on her shoulders. She's living her Empress world, but in an empire that she herself runs, we didn't see her with a partner. We didn't see her with anybody to help shoulder the burden of an empire. If in truth she wants joy, she wants somebody to dance with, she wants somebody to build her empire with, then that's the outcome she needs to picture, which means she does genuinely want a relationship. In this case, she wants to be married. If that is what she wants, don't be afraid to say it or write it down or whatever she needs to do to acknowledge it to herself, because this whole story, she's actually been disingenuous with us. She said the whole storyline, look, I just want somebody to help me make it through the night. I just want a pair of lover's arms around me. Maybe I'd, have one more roll in the hay with that ex. I don't trust them. I know that it's an illusion. They were just a Knight of Wands, but maybe I would, have some interaction with them, or, I'm not looking for love anymore, blah, blah, blah. If that isn't really true, if that's not really what she wants, and she probably shouldn't be telling herself that she'll settle for so much less than what she authentically wants, if this is what she wants. We have literally a wedding here. So again, this is only for this particular character, but it just says what's going to help her be more precise and get what she actually wants by admitting what she actually wants. And empresses don't usually settle for less than what they want, but I think this is an empress who's like, look, a lot of my world has been made up of me managing it and, making my money and being responsible and making my life really good. But the part that I never seem to have success in is like love. And I kind of think this is the one we have seen where her Achilles heel is. It's a chink in her armor. She has become a little bit cynical about love, or a little bit like, I don't think I can bear any more disappointments in it. So I'm going to say that I don't even want it anymore. And that doesn't seem to be true. And this is just a gentle nudge. It says, don't tell yourself that you'll settle for things that are less than what you want. You're an empress. You should have everything that you want. And I kind of love that, because that'll set her course. Again, she doesn't have to say, I want it to be him and he needs to come back and then blah, blah, blah. Maybe if she doesn't believe it could be him, then there's no point in putting his face on this title. But if she does want this, why not admit it to herself and say, I want everything goes along with partnership. so that I don't have to run my empire alone. I'd have a real friend, a real partner, a real lover. If I want somebody's arms around me at night more than just one random night, and somebody that I don't think is like, they're dishonorable, I can't rely on them. They just want to, you know, get some attention. And that's what I believe about them. Then don't settle for sleeping with somebody like that. Why would you let yourself, like entertain less than what you deserve? That's to me, that's what the message is here. Again, there's no shame. It's just that we don't want an empress to ever take less than what she actually wants. We don't want anybody to take less than what they actually want. Then you're always settling for something else. And the universe is going to be like, okay, well, you said you didn't want something. You just wanted this lighthearted, meaningless. So that's what we're giving to you. So I don't know. I kind of dig that because the universe is like cheering her on. Like, tell me what you really want. Okay. Last card for them. What is it that the universe is saying to them? Because remember, we saw them possibly not moving toward her, but then saying, if she doesn't call me in, I'm not going to move toward her and I'll just take this leap in some other direction, but I'll always know that I love her. The universe is like, you're a bullshitter. Sorry. I'm sorry. No, the universe is all nice and soft with her. And then I'm saying cuss words over here. It's just, this is the Seven of Swords. The universe is saying, don't be disingenuous. Don't bullshit yourself. Take off the freaking masks. Be honest. What is it that you want? Because sure, you can jump in a different direction, but you're really going to be satisfied to simply remember her as the person that you loved more than anybody, the unconditional love, the person that, was maybe one of the most influential loves of your life. But yay, so great. Now I'll never talk to them again. Onward I go into the great unknown. Look, if that's what they want to do, if they can really be at peace with that, then by all means, move on. But don't bullshit yourself. Know if that's really what you want. Because otherwise, if you're going to spend the rest of your life remembering, once upon a time she loved me, I got to go find somebody else's arms around me that'll tell me that they love me, but I'll always pretend it's her, that you're going to bullshit to somebody else and you're going to wreck somebody else because you're wishing that it was that Empress in your arms when you're with someone other than the Empress. Don't waste somebody else's good time. I really think that's like a really great message also. If you can't be honest about who you most want to be with, and then you're going to go find somebody else who will love you, but all the while you're still remembering the Empress that you had that fight with, someday you're going to have a terrible breakup with your substitute also. Because when you substitute someone, you're never going to love them because you're thinking of somebody else. Don't take somebody else's love. That's basically, it wouldn't even be like you've grown very much. You may as well still be that Knight of Wands because it's a Knight of Wands in a different formula. I'm here so you can love me. I'm going to always have somebody else on my mind, the one that got away, but I'll let you love me. And then someday we'll have a rip-roaring fight because I'm not really giving to you because I'm still wishing I was with that Empress. The universe is like, don't fucking do it. Don't do it. Don't wreck that. We got two different feminines, both turning around, walking away, both of which are awesome, right? A Queen of Cups is amazing. The Empress was amazing. So don't foul it up with the next person by choosing a different partner that you aren't going to love the same way because you still wish that you were with the Empress. So figure it out. Take off both masks. So he's got two of them here. What does that mean though, universe? Magician. He needs to sit and like meditate. He needs to figure out, if you never go after what you really want in life, who do you think is going to do it for you? And you got this life and it's just up to you. So sit down. Don't make any quick decisions. Don't say, well, if she didn't call me, then I guess I'll just move on from the Empress and just be like, oh yeah, like she was super influential, but I'll move on and I'll get with somebody else. Unless you're sure that that's what you want to do, but you need to sit down with yourself and get right with yourself and reflect before you say what you're going to manifest. This is like the universe is saying, do not call me and place your freaking order and tell me what you want unless you're really sure about what you're trying to order. This is like, I bought a gazebo on, one of these, whatever, companies where It's a do-it-yourself. You got to put it together, which is a freaking nightmare, by the way. It was really hard to do. But I did that, and it took me a really long time to figure out what to order. And I do love the one that I ordered, and I maybe didn't put it together completely perfectly 100% right, but I was like 99% right. I had a few parts left over at the end. But that is one of those things where it's like, don't drop money on something unless you're sure about what you're going to order, and really consider how you're going to get it done, and make sure you do it the right way. Yeah, and things don't have to be perfect. Like I said, I actually am happy with what I ended up doing, but it was quite the project, all said and done. And would I do it again? Not right now. maybe later, but not right now. But it just says, that's an easy thing to make decisions about, comparative to whether or not we're walking away from a potential love story for the rest of our lives or not. So he just needs to make sure he knows what he's doing, and he's being honest with himself about what he's manifesting. If he's ready to let go of the Empress permanently and move on and fully be able to love another person, then by all means move on. But don't do it if you're going to wreck a relationship with somebody else, another good, amazing, loving individual, just because you're still wishing she was the Empress. Better to either try to figure out how you're going to go talk to the Empress again, see what could be course corrected. If that's what you need to do, get closure, heal, do what you have to do, but don't go mess it up with somebody else. Again, this is all based off of what they might want to do or not want to do. But it's just the universe's best advice here is the same thing for both of them. Figure out what you actually want. It's not up to the universe. It's up to you kids. You all got your own free will. So I like the fact that this doesn't leave the storyline saying that they're supposed to be together or that they're not supposed to be together. It's that they're supposed to be responsible for their choices from here on out, and then go get what they really want. This is actually a very empowering story about, like, we're cheering for our characters to get what they want out of life, not to let either of their hearts be like, man, for the rest of my life, I'm always going to wonder about that. Or for the rest of my life, I'm going to be sad I didn't have that. There's no reason for them to do that to themselves. If they want something, they can have it. At least they should acknowledge what they want and set their sights on trying to get the best outcome for themselves, so that they don't have to feel disappointed that they didn't at least try, Anyway, I'm going to leave this one here, you guys. I got really long. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. Are all the night owls in the house tonight? That's so awesome. AC, the storm cleanses, aka calm seas. RS, thank you, love. So good to see you. Travis Rhodes is here. Nice to see you, honey. Hey, G. Who that? Dwayne Anderson. Oh, great song, Ario Speedwagon. That's wonderful. Dwayne, thank you for adding that in. You guys are busting me up. I love that. Sorry, I'm scrolling back to the top. Well, I can't go all the way to the top, but at least Ginger Montague, nice to see you. It's great that you're back, Travis. Welcome. All right, you guys, have a wonderful evening. Forgive me, the chat won't allow me to go all the way to the very beginning, just because this is a really long video. So I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to say hi to everybody. Oh, Chrissy, hi, honey. Thank you. Oh, yes, Chrissy, you're absolutely correct. And thank you. That's so sweet of you. The fact that you would want to be subscribed to both channels. Yes. So the two channels are, YouTube sees them as completely different, channels. And so if you're going to be a subscriber to both of them, you would subscribe to each of them separately. Subscribing to one won't get you subscribed to the other. But thank you for asking that. I never even thought to mention that. But yeah, that's true. Also, guys, just so you know, on Monday, I will be going live on both channels. And be doing some card pulls for my subscribers. I'll also be doing that in both members corners, but that'll be, just for members. I do just like a little private session for members, just as an extra perk that way members get a little bit of a bump, more likelihood that I'll be able to get to you. But I'll be doing that on Monday on both channels, but then I'll also be live on both channels in general, just like I am right now. So any subscriber can also enter to win. So we'll do some card pulls. I always like how in J.R.R. Tolkien, The Hobbit, the hobbits rule is that when it's their birthday, they give the presents. And so my birthday comes up on the 30th, and I thought it would be nice. I kind of do this every year, either on my birthday or really close to it, to do some card pulls. So we'll do that on Monday, just so you guys have that heads up, okay? But so nice to see you guys. Hi, Dolly. Shout out to you in Dubai. Thank you so much for being here. Good morning to you, Chrissy. Thank you for popping by, and thank you for asking such a great question. Fallen Raven, sweet dreams, honey. Q Miller, wonderful to see you. Q, thank you. Roxanne, hi, honey. Spiritual anthologist, wonderful to see you. Aloha, my dear. Shout out to you on the Big Island. Anybody that I didn't get a chance to say hello to at the very beginning, please forgive me. I didn't mean to skip you. It's just the chat won't let me back all the way up to when I began, because that was an hour ago. Sweet. Nice to see you, love. SLH, HOGID. Thank you for being here. All right, you guys. Sweet dreams, everybody. Bye for now. I will be doing a today's topic, and we're just going to go ahead and make it for the 23rd. I know I missed a couple of days in here. I'm sorry about that. But on the other channel, on Case Regretless Life, we will do a today's topic and get back on track for those. All right. Bye, guys.